How's it going, everybody? CJ here, back with another video. We're going to be talking about some cards that are moving in the market today. Before we hop into that though, remember to hit that subscribe button if you're not subscribed. And if you want to get early access to this series, because a day or two later can make a big difference when it comes to cards moving in the market, become a member. Members get early access to this entire series. First, we're going to talk about some cards that have spiked in price. And then after that, we're going to talk about some cards that I think will spike in price. Cards that are dropping in inventory and are selling out of the market. And as supply drops, price tends to go up. Let's get this going. Cards that have gone up in price since the last time I did this. The date range is from October 1st to October 4th here. We have a couple of ripple foils that have made some big jumps. And they're ripple foils of cards that have already gone up in price, being Pyroglyph, one of them. Gone up another $20. This is getting to be a very pricey card, especially in the ripple foiling. And also Baroglyph, which also saw a $20 movement, almost $60 right now. That's crazy. The ripple foils are pretty hard to get, and these are both very strong cards. They're both seeing play in vintage cubes and some legacy play. I'd be surprised if these really go down much in price. These are good cards, and this is the best treatment for them. Obnixilis Captive Kingpin Etched Foil. Great card for the Rakdos Precon. This just saw a massive jump. The other versions have all gone up, but the Etched Foil just saw an additional $10 to almost $30. It's crazy. It's a good card though, so not super shocked. There's a handful of cards that have gone up in price due to speculation that they could end up being unbanned now that Wizards has control of the ban list. And we're going to talk about those next, like Lutri. Specifically, the Halo Foil has gone up way in price. Maybe people are speculating that they're going to have a banned as companion list because this otherwise cannot be unbanned. But that doesn't really matter because the price is now almost $10. Invention Paradox Engine has gone up almost double in price. It's back up to almost $100. That's crazy. This card's awesome. I love Paradox Engine. Personally would love to see it unbanned and in bracket number 4. But the speculation is really pushing its price. Tolarian Academy is now up to $120. Continuing the drain from the market. This is a card that I don't think will be unbanned, so I'm kind of shocked that it's seeing this much movement. Like, it shouldn't be unbanned. So if you're speculating on Tolarian Academy being unbanned, I don't think that's smart. And there's a couple of others that I'm going to mention when we start talking about the cards that are still draining from the market that haven't seen that big jump in price yet. Aminatou the Fate Shifter, continuing to move a little bit in the market. It's really good inside of the new Aminatou Precon, so a lot of people are picking it up to add into that Precon. And it's up to like $4 now, so it's a pretty good increase. I had mentioned Aminatou previously as a card that looked like it was going to go up in price, so I'm happy that that one ended up panning out. I also previously mentioned Pyroglyph, and that shot up along with a couple of those cards that are speculating on being unbanned. So those are all looking like good selections from previous videos. The last cards I want to mention are a couple of cards from Mystery Boosters 2. There's a lot of cards in Mystery Boosters 2 that are looking like they're really starting to drain from the market pretty hard, and there's a couple that have already spiked up in price. White Border Culling the Week. This is a very powerful card. I hadn't seen a reprint in a long time, and a reprint in a set like Mystery Boosters 2 is a very small reprint. The price got kind of low on it compared to the other printings, and now it's shooting back up and seeing a big drain from the market. Similarly, you have Krark-Clan Ironworks. The Future Sight version, it's another card that has been a long time since its last reprint. This is not a set that reprints really help much with the pricing, and now its price is catching up to the rest of the versions. There's a lot of these cards that I'm going to mention inside of the cards that are draining from the market segment, and there's even more that I'm not mentioning just because there's so many cards being White Border or Future Sight Border that are really starting to pick up in sales. Now let's talk about some cards that are continuing to drain from the market, cards that I think will go up in price. I've mentioned this in a few videos already, but Hellish Rebuke continues to see drains. Specifically, I want to talk about the extended art, which saw an additional 20% drop in listings over these last few days, while the regular version has actually jumped up in price, at which I expected to happen. The regular went from $1 up to $3.50. The extended art's still under $3. That's going to probably follow suit, and I could see it end up being around a $5 card, if not go a little higher, considering it's still getting purchased. Both versions are still draining from the market, albeit a little slower than they were previously, but if they continue to get purchased at this rate, the price can only go further upwards. Another card I want to mention that I had on my list to mention in previous videos, and I just hadn't because it didn't seem like it was enough movement to talk about, but it's just continuing to see movement, so it seems like it's worth mentioning. That's Scroll Rack. The Commander Legends version has gone up a little bit in price, and it saw another 22% drop in inventories. This is an extremely powerful card. It used to be like a $50 card before these reprints, and it's been a little while since its last reprint, so it looks like it's starting to finally rebound back upwards. And the new Amanatu Precon, the Miracle Precon, seems to be a spark plug to help get this thing going. The Tempest version has seen even more sales compared to the Commander Legends version, and there's only 37 currently on the market, which is pretty low. And the stats that I'm looking at are based around lightly played and near mint only copies. If it continues to sell the way it is, it's going to slowly get back up to $30, maybe even $40. Penance has seen a small uptick in price, but a big downtick in number of listings. It's another card for that Esper Precon. Perfect with miracles. You can just take a miracle card from your hand, put it on top of your library, and then you draw and cast it. Love that. The Mount Doom Surge foils are almost completely gone from the market. As of time of recording, there are only 2 copies available on TCG Player. That's crazy. I don't know what's going to happen after those 2 copies leave the market, but if you're looking for one, you got to pick it up now. A lot of the Lord of the Rings cards have been skyrocketing up in price. Let's talk about some more of the Lord of the Rings cards right now. The Showcase Scroll cards are seeing some drastic movements. Starting off, you have the Lighted Halfling. You can pick up copies for about $22. It saw a massive decrease in listings again, and this is an awesome card. One of the best mana dorks, very competitive card. Uncounterable commanders are always nice. This is a card I could see getting very expensive. Also, the Mithril Coat Showcase Scrolls. Mithril Coat's a fantastic card. Darksteel Plate was always pretty expensive. This is just better. And this is the chasest version of the card, so if people want it, this is what you're gonna grab, and it's running out. Aragorn, King of Gondor, saw almost a 40% drop in the last few days. That's insane. And there's numerous other Showcase Scroll cards that are dropping in volumes. So if you're looking to pick up some Showcase Scroll Lord of the Ring cards, the sooner you do it, the better. Aragorn the Uniter, not the Showcase Scrolls, but the regular Showcase, has also seen a big drop in volume, down another 31%. We've had a couple of weeks in a row where the Retro Frame Bruvok has seen a drop in the number of listings available. I think it's probably due to that 3-mana 10-1 that mills people that was just printed inside of Duskmourn, so that seems like a good catalyst to get this thing moving. As I previously mentioned, Ripple foils are pretty hard to come by. The Talisman of Progress Ripple foil is down to like 4 copies available. Talismans are always useful. Other Ripple foils are going to be following suit the way Talisman of Progress has, and just number of listings going down like crazy. And if people want this, it could easily shoot up in price. Extended Art Orochi Soul Reaver, big drop in volume. I'm not 100% sure what's causing this one. If you know, let me know. The last 2 times I did this, we had an 11% drop and then now a 25% drop. So that's a pretty big decrease in volume. I mentioned in the last video, and I'm mentioning it again now because it's continuing to move out of the market. Machine God's Effigy, very good clone effect. Also becomes a mana rock, and it's a combo piece with cards like Devoted Druid. Perfect, great card. Seeing a lot of movement in the market. Both the Retro Frame and Extended Art each saw about 20% additional decrease in the number of listings over the past few days. And I can see that continuing downwards because this card's just so good. Cemetery Gatekeeper just saw a 30% drop in listings. I'm assuming it's because it's good inside of the Rakdos Precon. A lot of cards that are just good in the Rakdos Precon have been flying off the market because everyone seems to love this Precon and it's causing so many spikes. And here's yet another one. Omniscience is another card that's spiking due to Precons, this one being the Esper Precon again, because being able to flip Omniscience as the top card and giving it Miracle with the new Amanatu and casting it for 4 less seems very, very good. It's probably one of, if not the best enchantments you can possibly flip inside of this deck. We've seen a lot of movement across multiple copies. The anime version had 2 weeks in a row of decent decreases in listings. The Wilds of Eldraine version had similar changes, pretty much the exact same percentages. However, there's an older version that has actually gone up in price from this, and it's spiking a little bit. So I could see these other 2 following suit, especially because these other 2 versions are much cooler than the original versions, especially the anime one. I'm not really sure why, but No Mercy, specifically the borderless version, has seen a lot of sales recently. It's a cool card, good card, great art, but I'm not sure what the catalyst is for this one. I mentioned this card in numerous other videos, but it's continuing to drain from the market, and I can't imagine it doesn't spike up soon. And that's different versions of Sulfim. The regular version, the showcase version, and the Step Incomplete all continue to drain out of the market. Cacophony Scamp is just an uncommon, but I wanted to mention it last week and I didn't. And I'm kind of glad I didn't because the price didn't really change much since, but the volume is continuing to go down. Like the number of copies are continuing to drain from the market. I think Cacophony Scamp is a card that's worth picking up. It's seeing a lot of play inside of like Fling decks. It's a pretty good card inside of like those combo-y decks, especially with the new red ley line. So this is a card that has been seeing a lot of play. I mentioned High Noon in a few previous videos, and I'm mentioning it again here. The extended art version just had a massive drop, down 61%, which is crazy, while the regular version has started to see an uptick in price. So it's getting to the point where if you want a copy, you're getting it now, or you're going to be too late and it's going to be more expensive. I mean, it's not going to be super expensive, but more expensive than what you'd probably be wanting to spend. The Overlords from Duskmourn are pretty cool cards, strong cards. Overlord of the Balemerc has been seeing a ton of movement. The extended art saw a 53% drop in the last few days, while the regular had a 36% drop. Those are some pretty big numbers. That's substantial movement. This card's gonna spike. If it doesn't spike, I would be shocked. Now we've got a card that I personally really like. I didn't even notice this card previously. And it's a pretty pricey card to begin with, but it's seeing a lot of movement. And I could see it seeing a ton of play across numerous formats, being mostly Commander and Cube. And that's Metamorphosis Fanatic. Both the regular and extended art are seeing a ton of movement. The extended art saw a pretty decent jump up in price. However, it's continuing to sell out of the market. I think both versions are going to get pretty expensive. Then we have Enduring Curiosity. I love the Enduring cards. I think they're super strong, and I think they're great cards to speculate on, especially if you like to build a lot of Commander decks, because they're going to end up being staples inside the format. And Enduring Curiosity saw a 27% drop in the listings over the last few days, so that's pretty substantial and very notable. Delny, Streetwise Lookout, has been seeing a lot of movement as well. I love this card. I've been running it inside of a arena deck that's kind of like the Boros Energy deck, but with Delny. Delny's also been seeing a lot more CDH play because it's very good with a bunch of different cheap creatures. The card's strong, and it's a very unique effect, so I'm not surprised that it's seeing so much movement. But both the showcase and the regular are slowly draining out of the market, and I think now's a better time than any to pick them up because I can't see this getting reprinted soon. Now I want to mention some cards from Mystery Boosters 2 that are draining out of the market, because there's a ton of White Border and Future Sight Border cards that are seeing a ton of movement, like massive numbers that I haven't really seen on any other cards since I've been doing this. I'm only going to mention a few here as examples, but there's a lot of different cards. If you're looking to pick up any of the Mystery Booster White Border or Future Sight Border cards, sooner's definitely going to end up being better than later. Urza's Bauble saw almost a 40% drop in listings over the last few days. Gataxian Probe, almost 30%. Greater Good, another card at almost 30% decrease. Snow-Covered Plains is right around 30, being at 28%. And since this is a basic, if you want to have a deck with this Plains in it and you like having all your basics be the same, you need a bunch of copies. So this one in particular I could see really jumping up. And Cabal Ritual, another very strong card that hasn't seen a reprint in a long time, that's just kind of getting up there in price, because these reprints from Mystery Boosters 2 are barely reprints. Everything's essentially a mythic inside of this set. And the last category are some more cards that people are speculating that will be unbanned. Hullbreacher, both extended art and regular, are seeing a ton of movement. Personally, I do want to see Hullbreacher unbanned and stuffed into the bracket 4. It's a cool card and very powerful card, but it should not be at casual tables. Coalition Victory, it had an 80% decrease followed by a 31% decrease. Those are massive numbers. This card should totally be unbanned, and a lot of people agree, and that's why it's draining so hard. Panoptic Mirrors, 74% and then 30%. Massive numbers. Sway of the Stars, 57% and then 30%. This one I dislike more. I do think this will be unbanned, but I don't think it'll see any play because nobody really would want to play this card, I don't think. Even if it gets unbanned, I don't think the price will actually go up much. if it gets unbanned, I think that the price will jump, obviously, for a little bit, but people won't be buying it, so then it'll just go back down as listings go back onto the market. We have an insane amount of movement across many different Primeval Titans. Card's great, should be unbanned, has some cool synergies with other cards, like you get Cabal Coffers and Urborg and stuff like that, so I like that. Sylvan Primordial, this was a penny stock, good card here, great card to unban. Gifts Ungiven I've mentioned in the previous video as one of the versions going up in price. Here we have another copy, the Foil Etch, that's still cheaper and draining out of the market, but we have had some movement on other copies of Gifts Ungiven where the prices have gone way, way up. There's still some versions of Emrakul, the Aeon's Torn, that are cheaper than other ones. A lot of them have skyrocketed in price, but there are versions that are still much more affordable. And that's everything I have to talk about this time around. Let me know what cards you're looking at picking up, and let me know if I was able to help you get cards before they spiked. I'll see you guys next time. Peace out, everybody.